Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Sunday afternoon show on 1MD Live. Thank you, Dr. Joshi, for taking the time out to talk about what's happening latest in the world of COVID. Although we keep talking about COVID almost disappearing, is that really true? There are some talks about the fourth wave coming around in August. WHO has spoken about it. We would like to actually know how the things are going to pan out over the next few months. So if you can give us a brief overview on what's happening latest, Dr. Joshi.
Good afternoon, Aniruddha. We are continuing our mind and body show. Many of us try to periodically reset ourselves, our bodies with rest and special practices to detoxify and rejuvenate. That is where there is a Sunday. So it's a Sunday afternoon on 27th of March 2022. And we just heard Man Ki Baat from our popular Honorable Prime Minister. However, the same processes which we put our physical body to rest, also it is necessary to have mental well-being and higher consciousness. Many a times we need to empty and reset our mind. There is too much of clutter in our mind. So we need to declutter our mind, reset our mind through mantra, through meditation, through yoga, and that is what we need to do. So first thing is that excessive fear of COVID should be out of our minds. COVID is almost out of our body, and we are all stronger, vaccinated, and immunized to fight it. So let us learn today how one should actually live with COVID without fear, without panic, with strength, resilience, responsibility, without being reckless. So the first thing which we know is that COVID is an airborne droplet virus, and therefore whenever it is an airborne droplet virus, we need ventilation, air filtration. In places like United States, there are carbon monoxide filters, and therefore the air engineering and the air ventilation and avoidance of crowd, poorly ventilated spaces, poorly ventilated environment still is the key. Transmission is clearly halted by masking like N95, and therefore in all those indoor, closely ventilated, poorly ventilated environments, masking is still necessary, and we cannot drop a narrative that we need to drop all protection, all guard. Clearly, this whole narrative that COVID is over, we are back to normal is not correct. We have to live with COVID. We are seeing what's happening in South Asia, in countries like South Korea, Vietnam, China, as well as Europe. So we still have to live with COVID, but it's unlikely that we will get those lockdown-like situations now. We need to address a couple of issues as we learn to live with COVID. Number one is we have already rebuilt our healthcare system, and it's just not beds, it's people there, it's the nursing staff there, it's the medical doctors there, the junior doctors there, getting them appropriately salaries, etc., which is the key. Improving medical education is the key. We also need at a socio-economic front to address the socio-economic equities and inequities which have been exacerbated and contributed to the pandemic. The global vaccine equity still is a challenge. India must be complemented. We are nearing 190 crore vaccination. We need
Right.
to take the precautionary boost campaign. We need to improve our pediatric vaccine cover. And clearly, we need to invest more into medical research and vaccine research and microbial research. So clearly, we need to research into three areas: newer antivirals, which are coming up, long COVID, which is stuck with us, and vaccines like nasal vaccines. We definitely need to get home testing as a standard of care with more accuracy. We need to keep our PCR testing modes. Wastewater testing is there. And we definitely need to encourage more research. We also need to have a transparent mechanism of communication so that informed decision making is still done. Definitely, if you get a flu-like illness, the Delta is probably extinct. Omicron is there now, very, very small. And the third wave in India is over. Will we get another wave? We don't know. So we need to be proactive. We need to be least disruptive. We need to ensure that we come back to normalcy. And remember, masking appropriate behavior is not a lockdown. So don't be into a revengeful mood or a rebellious mood or a reckless mode. And we have to protect the vulnerable. People whose immune system is poor and weak, we need to protect them, because all the deaths which are seen now worldwide in COVID, and COVID is still in large numbers worldwide, India it's gone. If we want to prevent a so-called fourth wave in the month of August, September, if at all it comes, we need to be clearly responsible. Also remember, when we take social responsibility, individual choices sometimes get compromised, and therefore we have to do a very tight balancing act of respecting individual choices and being responsible societally and socially. So the mind and body dialogue really aims at that we have to learn to live with COVID. We need some degree of responsiveness and responsibility. We definitely need to mask in indoor environments. The mandates related to COVID appropriate behavior will stay for some period of time. The healthcare preparedness systems and public health policies will stay for some period of time. The words pandemic, endemic surround policy planners, should not clutter our minds, and we need to search for our happiness. We need to search for our health. We need to search for our livelihood, and we need to search for our small little things which make us happy. And I think that's the key. And if we are able to walk that path, Anirudh, that's what we will be able to do it. So
Yep.
as we are talking, we understand a couple of things. The first thing which we understand is that should everybody be vaccinated in India? The answer to that question is that people who have not received a single vaccine, if they are eligible and there is no medical contraindication, we should encourage vaccination. Voluntary
Right.
encouragement of vaccination is required. If they have taken one dose, they have had once COVID, 3 months have elapsed, or if they have taken two doses and 6 months or 9 months have elapsed, it is time that if they are eligible, they are encouraged to voluntarily take the precautionary dose. If they
Okay.
belong to a vulnerable group, and if their medical doctor or the medical condition mandates them to protect themselves, that is recommended. So one thing is very clear, that those extra doses, worldwide data shows, the extra doses boost immunity. And remember, vaccines don't prevent infection. Basis of vaccines is, in most of the people, most of the time, not for everybody, but most of the people, most of the times, they will save lives or save severe disease. So that is the first thing. So encourage vaccinations, and vaccines are in early research. The killed vaccines are safer. Adenovector vaccines are there in India. We are getting subunit vaccines in India. mRNA platform in India is also being developed. So India has probably a very large comprehensive vaccine, but it's still work in progress. And nasal vaccines are the most attractive. As far as air ventilation is concerned, now the temperature is changing. Last week, Holi was celebrated. Next week, a lot of communities in India will celebrate the Chaitra Navratri and the New Year from the Maharashtrian calendar on Gudi Padwa. And therefore, it is important to recognize that as the spring starts coming up, humidity on the coastal areas go up, climate change starts, heat comes up, the virus also can change its behavior. Remember that there may be a very small, tangible, active virus in circulation. Though Delta appears extinct, Kappa appears extinct, Wuhan strain appears extinct, ancestral strain appears extinct, there might be a small trickle of Omicron still around. BA2, BA1. Predominantly, the worldwide strain has been BA2. So that is very clearly there. When the levels of transmission are very low, like the current situation in India, outdoor masking, if it is not population dense, may see some changes which may occur. And therefore, it is possible that one may be able to unmask there. But we'll have to wait for Government of India to come out with those guidances, because they will make that assessment and we'll follow what they are.
Hmm.
Dr. Sandesh Patwardhan is saying which places are safe to work without a mask. Most probably it is people who are living in a bio bubble at home, people who are in outdoor environments where there is free air, it is very well ventilated, and people who are not in closed, crowded, poorly ventilated environments. That is the place of high transmission zones.
Hmm.
Distancing is tough in India. Hand washing and sanitation still is mandatory. We recently celebrated this Thursday the World TB Day, and we have seen that TB has got affected. Last year we celebrated World Diabetes Day, World Hypertension Day is coming up. Non-communicable diseases have gone up, and the communicable diseases also have gone up. Non-COVID care has to go back to work. So it's
Yeah.
very, very important for people to understand that we have to live with COVID. We have to behave responsibly when we are in community spaces
Hmm.
which are crowded, which are closed door, and which are poorly ventilated. And when there is going to be summer setting in, it will be air
Hmm.
conditioned, so air will get recirculated. So have exhaust fans, have the fans on, have the windows open. And if you get symptoms of cough and cold, get a simple rapid test done, self-isolate and self-treat. Any news from the research standpoint? Yes, a lot of good research coming up. India might get a newer antiviral pill, with many generic manufacturers making the ritonavir boosted nirmatrelvir pill may be available, which may be more effective than molnupiravir. So in the oral antiviral space, we are having advances. India will soon have its own data on nasal vaccine. It will have
Hmm.
its own mRNA platform data soon available. So the research front and the science front of COVID has not stopped, and
Right.
that research will continue. Whether the modeling of IIT Kanpur is accurate for August or not, we don't know.
Hmm.
So
Right.
rather than engaging into speculation, rather than engaging into fear mongering, panicking, it is important to take two steps back, start looking at small little things which make you happy, start having responsible behavior as a way of life,
Hmm.
and go back to life as early as possible, as quickly as possible. And gradually, Dr. Patwardhan asking one more question. We have started celebrating even our festivities like in the pre-pandemic times. As I said, except for crowded, closely ventilated, poorly ventilated environments, and due to high population density, where a mask is mandatory, it is very, very important to recognize that. And that's also the reason that we try to vaccinate as many people as possible as early as possible. The last thing is about vaccine equity. We have 7 to 8 billion people on planet Earth. Yesterday was the Earth Hour. We need to save water, we need to save electricity. But it's very important to vaccinate every person and human being on planet Earth who's eligible for the vaccine. Earlier, we are going to boost their immune systems with a vaccine mimic or a vaccine.
Hmm.
It's important that the world will be a more safer place to live with COVID. COVID is a slowly mutating virus. It has definitely led to a large aftermath of death, destruction, and cost to lives and livelihood both. But I think the worst is over, and I don't think it has a cyclical pattern. So typically the COVID waves come in cycles, but likelihood of the cycle being sinister is unlikely. So I think, Anirudh, we are on its way out. Umesh, you are right. The pandemic is on its way out, but WHO has to declare it. And
Hmm.
WHO will not declare it because other countries are still not on its way out. So India, probably we are sitting pretty for the next 3 to 6 months. Unless and until there is a new sinister, new variant of concern, it is most unlikely that we will get another wave. But we know that that is how, when we were sitting pretty between 2020 and 2021, the Delta was born. When we were sitting pretty between Delta May and Delta November in South Africa, Botswana,
Hmm.
Omicron was born. And therefore, We have those next 3 to 6 months to rebuild our individual to community responsibility. And I think we should create a health awareness movement. We
Hmm.
should use this as an opportunity to inform about good health, and that is all linked to lifestyle.
Yes.
First thing is sleep well, sleep for a good 7 hours. If you snore in your sleep, get into a mode which allows you to get identified. You can do a sleep study. If you are snoring, try to lose some weight, do shavasana, engage in yogic practices, and do meditation. So sleep is very important. A good 7 to 8 hours sleep is very important for rebooting our system, because what has happened in COVID is our sleep has got compromised. A little more you sleep, the less anxious you will become, and more certain you will become, and more rational you will become for better and rational and responsible decision making. Second is reduce your stress burden, reduce your anxiety burden, increase your smile, try to keep yourself happy, try to love your own self, and keep people around you happy. That's very, very important to recognize, because we are all still in that aftermath of COVID.
Hmm.
Finally, eat and exercise. The two E's. We live to eat and we live eat to live. So eat slowly, eat on time, eat the right food. Fruits, one fruit per day. Five fruits plus vegetables are the order of the day. Mango season is around the corner. Okay, enjoy and relish food and fruits, but taste and share. Don't eat too much, don't eat too fast. Restrict the quantity, but relish the taste and the quality. Try to do physical activity. It could be simple 10,000 steps. It could be doing simple Surya Namaskar. It could be doing proper Pilates. It could be going to a gym. It could be going for a brisk walk or a jog. Do whatever is suited for you and what is medically advised for you, because it will give you that positive energy. So I think it is important to recognize that dietary practices or eating habits, physical activity, meditation and mindfulness, being stress less and smiling, and sleeping appropriately are the key.
Yeah.
It's very, very important to give up three addictions. Everything around tobacco should be given up, because that is hurtful and harmful. Whether it is smoking, whether it is chewing of tobacco, we must encourage and get and seek people's help who can help them to quit tobacco or smoking. Alcohol is an addiction. We need to ensure that people are de-addicted from alcohol. And finally, whether it is tobacco, whether it is alcohol, okay, very, very, very important is also to de-addict ourselves from various negative impulses we get, temptations we get. They are very, very important to overcome them,
Hmm.
because sometimes they pull us down. And one of those addictions of the modern world are the gadgets, like a
Yes.
television or a
Yes.
computer screen or your mobile phone. So try to de-addict yourself, try to do a digital detox, as they say, and try to do an hour of digital detox. Listen to the music of your choice and be happy.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's very,
Okay,
very
Joshi, I was
important.
about to ask you regarding the digital detox itself, because recently a survey came that on an average, an adult is spending around 4 to 4.5 hours minimum on social media itself. So the productivity is actually going down, but the stress levels are increasing because of that. So, in this aspect, what would you say one can actually do to moderate this? Because due to the pandemic, people have had to also switch from the physical means to the virtual means, and a lot of us have now gotten used to it. So what do you personally do, and what would you advise your patients per se?
No, I think it's important. You ask a very relevant question, and I see a lot of people have asked this question,
Yeah.
including Dr. Patwardhan, Dr. Nisar, Durga, many of them. So, it's very, and Guru Anna just joined us. Namaskar, Guru Anna. Welcome back. Okay, he was in another engagement. He was training people. He was in Palghar. He had just arrived from Palghar, training doctors in mental health and making mental health warriors. That's his mission. So we are on digital detox, Guru Anna, and we are discussing digital detox. Anirudh, you asked a very important question that on an average on social media in COVID, from around 40 minutes, people are spending a net of 4.5 hours. And this became like a default practice. This led to over information and cluttering of the mind and cluttering of the body. And we get consummated by this. And that needs to be reduced. Now, the transition from physical to digital and digital to physical, and the word hybrid evolved in this. The
Yes.
word new normal evolved in all this.
Yes.
And I think it's important to do that transition. It's important to move out. It's important to do that. And as I said, we have to do all this responsibly.
Hmm.
So digital made us in a way lazy, sitting at home
Yeah.
and getting everything. But it also made us a lot of unfiltered garbage got in. It's very important to have a sieve or a filter. And social media does not have those filters. The sieve. See, the lot of information on social media is not peer reviewed. It is speculative, it is anecdotal, it is not based on high quality science, and it is based a lot on building of narratives. So it's important to make that switch, and therefore decluttering is a key word.
Hmm.
Declutter, detox, and go slow. And do as Guru and I said in the past, do small little things which make a difference. If you do ambitious targets that okay, tomorrow I'll give up my mobile phone, I will
Hmm.
stop my digital mode, again you will find a void.
Yeah.
So I think the slow, short, small things if you do, you will be in a much better space to handle. The last question I'll take, and then I'll pass on our Guru Anna to get into the mind medicine more, is Dr. Patwardhan has asked one more question. What is this post-COVID? Well, post-COVID has been a huge palpable impact. People call it long COVID. Some people call it brain fog. Some people call it persistent fatigue after COVID. And a lot of people who got Omicron walk up to my clinic and say, Doc, I had very mild COVID, but I'm still knocked out. I don't feel normal. I feel drained out. I feel fatigued. My mind doesn't work well. And I do their B12, D3, it's all normal. And I'm completely like a fish out of water. So
Hmm.
this is an entity called long COVID. It is neuropsychiatric with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia-like symptoms. Very, very similar. It also has some degree of a little bit of fever sometimes in some people. In the old Delta wave, we had lung and heart COVID also. Sometimes we still get in cardiometabolic high risk cases, occasional clot, occasional heart attack, which we need to be vigilant. And most important is that we also are seeing an increased incidence of diseases like blood pressure and diabetes
Hmm.
and lack of sleep. So it's very, very crucial to understand it, identify it, and work with your physician and if required a coach, a mind coach or a mental health expert like Dr. Shetty. The last point is the cue from where I will pass on now the baton to Dr. Shetty for his final words of wisdom. Umesh Nisar is saying, okay, that's the question, my question to Guru Anna. Social media is used to manipulate a thinking process. And the reason I'm asking this question to Guru Anna is Guru Anna is a world expert in the younger generation's mental health. And the younger generation needs to understand that they have their own brain and they need to use them. So, the allegation Umesh Nisar is saying is that the social media is influencing vulnerable young minds and polluting them. And how does one filter that process? How does one make those young vulnerable minds stronger mentally to counter the negative impact of the clutter in the social media? Guru Anna.
I think it is absolutely true. There are algorithms which have been devised by various agencies, and they know exactly
Hmm.
how you think, how you behave, what are your needs, how to position messages to you, and it's
Yeah.
a fact. Artificial intelligence has been used by all social media handles to really change the way you think, and this is a fact. And remember, it's not United States of America, China, Ukraine which is important, but it's countries like Facebook, Google, Twitter, and other Instagram, etc., etc. So number one, my dear friend, is even if you have to go to 10 marriages, choose not to go to 5 and have healthy discussions inside the family right from the age of 5. Let the discussion and the debate in the family be more vibrant than what you read outside, and that is very important. Now you will say that all the debates and the discussions are basically based on what you read outside, but no. I think challenging a lot of general narratives that he is bad, she is good, this is good, this is bad, this is acceptable, this caste is good, this community is good, this community is bad, has to be challenged inside the boardroom of the family. That's the drawing room. Number one. Number two, a lot of activities of compassion for children has to be initiated right from day one. We don't need joy of giving to be taught by Warren Buffett. Indian families have been giving since centuries, from people in the villages to people in the cities. So this joy of giving and compassion has to be taught from day one, and that really neutralizes a lot of things which they hear or see, because social media is very powerful, it's very ingenious. We do not improvise our communications, but social media changes the form of communication all the time. The third important thing is respect and to the behaviors of elders, cultural values of India, observing festivals as much as you can, where you don't only eat, but you discuss and chat. So, a lot of community connectedness, community interaction is one of the most important antidotes for thinking, which can be actually instilled, inculcated, and put in your mind. That is important. Number two is whenever the child is in crisis, don't leave him to learn from social media. Be next to him to learn from his parents and his close relatives and counselors, etc. Number three, which is also very important, is when the child is actually growing up, he needs the father and the mother. You will say that after 15, they don't come and meet you, but they come to you when there's a crisis. Be available and teach him what small dose of love is, which means even if somebody does a little small thing for you, see that you acknowledge and you thank. And the last thing is also look at good social media for your learning. There's enough good social media for your learning across, and see, filter it and see that you share it with your children. I would say I would strongly recommend Psychology Today as one
Hmm.
link which you should read all the time, and there are brilliant articles and they're written in such simple words. At the same time, I would like to you to look at in Indic psychology or Hindu psychology or Indian psychology, wherein they delve into the culture of the country and find out so many things for you. I'm reading as of now Das Bodh, translated in English. I see a lot of rational emotive behavior therapy there. I see a lot of mental health inputs there. So if you do all this, you'll find that your kids may be very mindful of what they read and what they implement from actually what they read.
Dr. Shetty, one question that I have from my end, which is there's really no guidebook that we have right now on how to deal with this transitional phase between going back now to the new normal per se. And people are often confused. Is this like, is there a clear end, or should we wait for people to say, come on news and announce for WHO that, okay, this is finally over? How does one behave at this point of time, whether it's an adult or a child, and how do they adapt now that some of them are used to living in these digital lives and not wanting to even go back to physical lives because they're much more comfortable this way?
I think let's look at it in a very different way. The end point is when the Earth is sucked into the black hole. That is the end point. That is still 50,000 billion years from now. So we are in a continuum. There is no end point. There's never an end point. So as what is very important is transition is there is no actual transition, but one thing I'm sure that after I'm now in the Maharashtra National Open, Maharashtra National Law University. Just finished a session with lawyers. And if nobody is wearing a mask, but I wore a mask till the class, and I found that the class was safe and I did not wear a mask. So start working and doing what you have been doing earlier. A fear, uncertainty will always be there, but the only way for you to handle your fear is by acknowledging that there is fear. Acknowledgement of fear brings down the fear by 50%. So go back to your routine. And I do not know which virus will come when, which bacteria will come when, which war will happen tomorrow. There's a war happening. I don't know what the United States of America, Biden has gone to Poland and has been threatening everybody. We don't know what they'll do. But remember, live one day at a time. And two sentences which Dr. Shashank shared with me about a very great pulmonologist from UK. And when he was asked, will it come back? And the pulmonologist said only one thing: please understand that improve your immunity all the time. So do yoga, vipassana, and other things. And number two, keep your mental health intact so that you will be able to face a war or a virus. They are not different. They are not different. War hits you by a bomb. The virus hits you by a small RNA particle. So be that, and understand that the end point is the Earth getting into the black hole. So that's the end point. So continue.
Oh,
Geo.
wonderful, Dr. Shetty. One question I want to ask Dr. Joshi, a little different question, which is based on Joe Pasha's question. Life is look from how many likes one has received or the comments to one post. Yes, it is needed, but not having does not mean one is not good. Dr. Joshi, I want to ask you about FOMO. I would ask you only to speak about what is FOMO, and does our audience know what FOMO is? I'm quite happy you know what it is. So please enlighten us. How does one deal with FOMO?
So actually, this I'm going to read my answers to again Anna back.
Right.
But FOMO is fear of missing out. See what has happened now. Social media has a huge addiction potential, and it is actually addictive. And you want to have that blue tick on Twitter. Okay, you want to have maximum likes on Facebook. You don't want negativity, and you want to be there everywhere. As Guru Anna said, that
Mm,
we just want to be there everywhere. And first we had the fear of virus in life. Then we have now in Europe, like for example, they grappled with fear of war. Then we are grappling with fear of uncertainty every day. So in Sanskrit, there is a saying, padam padam vipadam, which means at every stage of our life, there is an obstacle. And if we have to overcome that obstacle, it has to come with, as Dr. Shetty said, with a strong mind and a strong body. A strong body is only possible if you are able to focus on a correct lifestyle, a measured lifestyle, but you don't have to over discipline it. See, sometimes I've seen people who are most disciplined, they walk up to me and they say, we do everything correctly, yet all the diseases occur to us. So it's important to recognize that you have to be mindful. You need to
yes.
be happy and have that little joys of life.
Right.
Now that fear of missing out actually is so addictive that many people get entangled into it. And just to be having that little one-upmanship,
Correct.
get sucked into a very deep-seated addiction, which is very difficult to get out later. And it is particularly the young, the youth,
Mm,
as well as it has no age, has no bar on FOMO. Everybody gets so badly addicted that it's very difficult to get out of that addiction.
mm,
So as I said that I'm leading this question
yeah.
to Dr. Shetty. How does one handle FOMO? Can you tell us some tricks? Can you tell us some techniques? Can you tell us some methods of handling FOMO? Can
Yeah.
you tell us how one handles the pressures? As in the good old days, it used to be called as peer pressure, and
Right.
today it is called as FOMO. How does one handle FOMO? Shetty, Anna.
I think the West has its armamentarium of phrases. They come up with a new phrase for the same thing. A new wine in old bottle. But remember one thing: there are two sentences which you have to be aware of, and which are beliefs. One is I have to love everybody on the earth. Everybody should love me. That makes us go to every funeral, every marriage, every OT Varna, every birthday function because Kana White Lagil, he will feel bad. or so this we are torn, we are caught between I should love, I will should love, everybody should. It is a belief in life. Some people will be upset with you because you do not attend some functions or you do not refuse a lecture, but the point is that is all right.
Hmm.
That's all right. Effective people are those who know what they can do and what they can't do. But good people want to be seen everywhere. That's one aspect of the story, which means what? Who are good? Good are those who
Mhm.
attend every function. They want acknowledgement and validation from everybody. किती चांगला माणूस आहे तो, माझा मुलीच्या लग्नासाठी किती दूरवरून आलो, पण त्याला माहित नाही फॉर कमिंग टू दॅट मॅरेज ही डिड नॉट डू समथिंग व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट विच वॉज नेसेसरी फॉर हिज ओन फॅमिली.
Hmm.
So don't try to be good and be people pleasing. And sometimes you have to say, I can't go, and that's okay. That's
Yep.
okay. So it's okay not to be okay, and it's okay. So do not fall into the trap of two beliefs. I should love everybody, everybody should love you, I should not hurt anybody. And I should not hurt anybody is such a misnomer. Hurt is an interpretation. What you think of the event is your own thought. That is number one. Number two is that there's a lot of addiction in people to be seen visible across all areas. Some people
Hmm.
ask me, how do you manage your time? And how you and Dr. Shashank are doing this show every week? I said, this is a commitment, but that would not mean that we do everything. Sometimes I practice 4.5 days a week, and sometimes it's not possible to do everything. And when you say no, you have to learn to say no when you can't, and that is also okay. And people will not feel bad about it. People will accept that you genuinely, honestly say no, and that I think is very important. That's the second part of it. The third part of FOMO is the being there is also very addictive,
Hmm.
एक्सट्रीमली एडिक्टिव. अरे यार मेरे को जब वहाँ जरूर जरूर जानता है, इतना मजा है उन लोगों को. आई मिस द फन.
Hmm.
I really miss the fun. But my dear friends, remember, laughter and tears are on the same board. And if you miss the fun, it's perfectly all right, because fun is not relegated to only some people and only some activities. You can have fun when you're silent and relaxing. You can have fun when you're doing yoga and relaxing. You can have fun when you're playing with your grandchildren or your own children or your own family. You can have fun when you're not doing but lazing and just having a sip of coffee, cup of coffee, looking at the sun blazing at 12 o'clock at night. So fun has a million dimensions. There are no fixed
Hmm.
avenues of fun. If you're addicted to fixed avenues of fun, look at fun which is simple, small, and also beautiful. And then you'll find, ठीक है मैं वो पार्टी में गया ना तो कोई बात नहीं, मेरी औरत मुझ पर बहुत चिल्लाए, मेरा मेरा पति मुझे बहुत चिल्लाए, बट मैं जा नहीं पाया, बिकॉज मैं जा नहीं पाया एंड मैं जा नहीं सकता था, मुझे जाने की इच्छा नहीं थी, मैं घर पे बैठ के कुछ कर रहा हूँ, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है. सो आई थिंक यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट देयर आर बिलियन ऑप्शंस फॉर ह्यूमन बीइंग्स टू बी इन, and you cannot be in all the billion options. Saying no is a beautiful word, and when you say no, you're saying yes to your body, yes to your mind, and you're saying no to ill health, and you're saying yes to health, and that I think is most important. So your health, your mind is as important or more important than the acceptance and validation of the world around.
Final messages from you, Dr. Joshi, and then Dr. Shetty. You can close.
I think my message is simple.
Shashank.
Yeah, my message is very simple. Be happy and be healthy. We have to live with COVID. At least in India, we are on good wicket. But behave responsibly. Mask wherever necessary. Follow the government of India guidelines. And eventually, we have to live life to the fullest. When we have to live life to the fullest, happiness and health are integral components of it. Guru Anna.
Well, sleep well, and sleep is as important as any food, any healthy food. Sleep is also in healthy food. खुराक है, डाइट है. और सोने के लिए क्या क्या आपको करना चाहिए, प्लीज कीजिए. सी दैट यू स्लीप हेल्दी, and if you sleep healthy, breathe healthy, and after you breathe healthy, see that you continue your work which you enjoy, and also understand that even if you have less money, you can have a mandeli, not a corporate, but be happy when you have the mandeli. And that is my last message. Thank you, Anirudh, for being here week
Thank,
after week, week after week, and I do not know what to say. Thank you, sir.
thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining, and have a great Sunday.